Today, we welcome a woman to the show who will begin a large-scale study funded by the U.S. military. They're looking for ways to help battle depression among our troops that serve overseas. They come back and many times have PTSD and some other depression issues that's one of the big casualties of war right there, and so they're looking for ways to help mitigate those problems. And there has been some light in the area of fish oils and omega-3 fatty acids. And so researcher Bernadette Mariott with the Medical University of South Carolina is leading this particular study and joins us this morning to talk a bit about it. Good morning, Bernadette.
Good morning.
Nice to have you joining us here today. And so why is it fish oils? There's so many different things that you could focus on to try to treat depression. How did fish oils come to the forefront?
Well, first of all, the fish oils have been studied for many years in different forms and different components in terms of how they affect mood and psychiatric disorders. Mm-hmm. And there's been accumulating evidence over the years that the polyunsaturated fatty acid omega-3s have been particularly effective in treatment of depression in small studies. Now, the focus of our study is really of sort of a bigger picture, in that while we will be looking at depression as one of our outcome assessment measures, our overall focus is to try and reduce the risk of suicide in veterans. Suicide is a problem not only in veterans, of course, which we hear about often in the news, but also in America. It's the 10th leading cause of death in America.
So this might help our troops, but it also might help someone that didn't serve in the military who might be facing that desire to take one's own life.
Right. So this has, broader. We hope that if we are successful in showing that omega-3s can improve many of the various behavioral components and emotive components related to suicide, that we will also be able to help not just military personnel, active duty and veterans, but also the population in general.
Now, Bernadette, when you're talking about these omega-3s, is this something that you can just change your diet and have more of by eating certain foods, or is this something that you would need to take in a supplement form?
Well, as we know from the dietary guidelines for Americans that just came out in 2010, what we're trying to do in America is really improve our diet. And what's happened over the years in America is that based on our agricultural changes, we have more omega-6s and less omega-3s coming through in our general food supply. So if we look at America, and Americans, quite frankly, don't eat much fish, and fish is a very, very good source of omega-3s, particularly what we would tend to think of as the more oily fish, such as salmon and tuna and sardines and anchovies. So a pizza with anchovies on it would be a very good source.
Yeah, and anchovy, believe it or not, mixes very well into sauces. I was just reading a chemistry of cooking, and while you think, I don't want fish paste in my whatever I'm eating, there's a component in there that brings out the savory taste, and you don't even taste any fish.
It's not fishy.
No, but it really boosts the savory level by tenfold. Do those fishes, are they normally found in? Is that right? Those fishes? No, those fish.
The fish, yeah.
Are those fish typically found in cold water?
Typically, and tuna is a very good source, and salmon, which are much more popular in America.
Right.
So,
for sure.
But fish in general. If we had three dinners of fish each week, we would be getting a very good source of omega-3 fatty acids. To answer your question, that would be a very good source, and we wouldn't really need supplementation. But unfortunately, many people, unless they live near our coastline, tend not to be big fish eaters.
Right. Where are these omega-6s found that you're talking about? What sort of, what are we eating that are boosting our omega-6 levels? And how does omega-6 differ from omega-3?
Okay, so polyunsaturated fatty acids have 2 or more unsaturated carbons. So it's really in the differences in the chemistry. And they're subdivided into 2 families according to the position of the first bond in the carbon chain. So one family are the omega-6s, and the other family are the omega-3s.
Okay.
So it's the different positions and number of connections that give the fatty acids their different chemical, nutritional, and functional properties that we can see in the body and the physiology of the body. And the source of the 6s in our diet is that we have more and more of a corn-based and a soy-based diet because our nation is such a strong producer globally of those products. So if you look at processed foods, you'll often find soy oil, you'll find corn in many different forms.
Right.
And it's not that these are bad, it has just changed the ratio of 6s and 3s
Substantially.
In our diets now compared to, say, around 1900, before we really became, as a nation, much stronger in production of these products.
Because I think for many of us, we see the omega and we just assume it's good. We don't, the number 3 or the number 6 doesn't have much meaning to us, but now for me it totally does. I appreciate that, Bernadette.
Well, if we look at a comparison of American intakes of omega-3s with, say, people in Scandinavia, in Great Britain, in Japan, we find that we're very, very low compared to those nations, and it just reflects the fact that they eat much more fish than we do.
So this would be sort of an awareness and an education issue, because if it's as easy as just choosing a different menu item, that's a pretty easy fix.
It is. It is. And salmon's pretty good.
I have to agree with you on that.
Right. And so many diet, we've got the omega-3 aspect of it, but diet and exercise has long been shown to help your overall mood, which would lend to the basis of your study, really.
Right. So we're going to be measuring depression, anxiety. We're also going to be looking at impulsivity, because omega-3 fatty acids have been shown in other smaller studies to reduce impulsive, say, decision making.
Bernadette, I've got to stop you there. I don't want to have you cut off right at the end here, but a researcher, Bernadette Mariott, with the Medical University of South Carolina. The study starts in January, if I read that correctly, and we'll be finding out information as that study goes on. Good luck with your work, and we hope you're successful.
Thank you.